One crisp morning, I stepped onto my front porch, coffee in hand, and froze. My lawn looked like it had been transplanted from a swamp. The grass was soaked, puddles shimmered under the sun, and the hose coiled by the spigot felt oddly warm, as if it had just been used. I live Alanino kids, no roommates, no mischievous garden gnomes running secret irrigation schemes. Just me, my coffee, and a lawn that apparently watered itself. 3 weeks ago, that's when it started. My water bill arrived, and it wasn't just high, it was astronomical, like I'd been filling an Olympic-sized pool every night. But my backyard held nothing but a wilting tomato plant and a rusty barbecue grill. Where was all this water going? I started asking questions. My neighbors were friendly enough, except for one, Linda. She'd moved in a few months back and immediately crowned herself the neighborhood's unofficial dictator. Linda wasn't the HOA president, but you'd never guess it from the way she patrolled the street, clipboard in hand, critiquing lawn shades and mailbox etiquette. She'd filed complaints about a neighbor's shutters being too teal, demanded another trim their grass to her exact specifications, and even scolded the mailman for parking too assertively. The woman was a suburban tyrant. Still, I didn't peg her for a thief until I saw it with my own eyes. It was a Saturday. I'd just returned from the grocery store, pulling into my driveway, when I caught her. There she was, in a garish floral dress and a sun hat the size of a satellite dish, dragging my hose across my yard like it was her birthright. She hooked it to a portable pressure washer and started blasting her front porch. No shame, no permission, just spraying away like she paid my bills. I sat in my car, dumbfounded, as she looked up, waved like we were old pals, and shouted, "Hope you don't mind, just a quick rinse." Before I could respond, she turned back to her task. I gripped the steering wheel, torn between confronting her and pretending I hadn't seen anything. I chose the latter, slinking inside to stare at my faucet like it had personally betrayed me. Later that day, I knocked on her door, keeping things civil. I asked if her water line was busted or if she needed help. She laughed, a grating, dismissive sound, and said, "Oh no, I just prefer your hose. The pressure's fantastic. It's all community property anyway, right?" Community property? I nearly choked. Last I checked, my house wasn't a co-op, and the water wasn't falling from the sky, it was on my tap. I told her, gently but firmly, that I didn't appreciate her using my hose without asking. She smiled, tilted her head, and said, "Well, I'm sure the HOA won't mind. We're all supposed to share, be neighborly." Then she shut the door, conversation over. I'm not a confrontational guy. I don't yell or pick fights. I solve problems. So, I went through the proper channels. I emailed the HOA, attached photos of my waterlogged lawn and my spiked bill, and asked for clarification on this community property nonsense. Days later, I got a reply. "Thank you for your concern. At this time, we encourage neighbors to resolve minor disputes amicably without HOA intervention." Translation: figure it out yourself. Fine. I bought a lock for the hose. Simple, effective. Linda couldn't use what she couldn't access. Problem solved, right? Wrong. The next morning, the lock was gone, not unlocked, gone. Someone had sliced through it with bolt cutters. I stood there, staring at the mangled metal like I was in a crime scene, half expecting to find fingerprints. Across the street, Linda was at it again, washing her SUV like she was filming a car commercial, water flying everywhere, courtesy of my wallet. This time, I confronted her, less friendly. I asked about the lock. She shrugged and said, "Oh, that thing? It was a safety hazard. Someone could have tripped. I took care of it." Then she smiled, flipped her hair, and went back to scrubbing her tires. I was speechless. I retreated inside, sat down, and stared at the wall for 10 minutes. The HOA was useless, Linda was untouchable, and I was bankrolling her home spa treatments. That's when I decided to fight fire with water or something worse. I installed a tiny, motion-activated security camera under the gutter near the spigot. If I couldn't stop her, I'd document her. Maybe the internet would. 2 days later, I had footage. Crystal clear, undeniable proof of Linda creeping into my yard like a cartoon villain, dragging the hose to water her plants, fill a kiddie pool, and wash her dog, all before I'd even poured my morning coffee. It was a full Linda production, and I had every second recorded. I posted a clip to a local neighborhood forum with the title, "Neighbor Steals My Water Every Morning." The video exploded. People were outraged, some laughed, others offered advice. One guy sent me a link to a motion-triggered sprinkler that sprays intruders. But the best part? Linda saw it. I knew because the next morning, she knocked on my door. No hat, no smile, just fury. She accused me of violating her privacy, threatening her reputation, and creating a hostile environment. I told her she was violating my property, stealing my water, and creating a financial burden. She huffed, crossed her arms, and spat. Do something about it. I dare you. That dare lit a fire in me. No more Mr. Nice Neighbor. No more HOA emails or flimsy locks. Linda wanted a challenge? She'd get one. I took a day off work, stayed inside, blinds drawn, coffee in hand, and watched. Sure enough, around 10:30 a.m., I heard the spigot hiss and the hose drag across my yard. I peeked through the blinds. There she was, in yoga pants and a smug grin, spraying her driveway like it was her personal car wash. I stepped outside, phone in hand, pretending to text. She saw me, hesitated for a split second, then kept going, like I wasn't even there. When she finished, she waved the hose and said, "See? Works great. You should thank me for keeping it in shape." I forced a smile, went inside, and watched the video again. It was damning, but I knew the HOA wouldn't care. It was time for poetic justice. That afternoon, I drove past a construction site on the neighborhood's edge and spotted a crew setting up an industrial sewage tank, the kind used for portable toilets and waste containment. An idea hit meterable, brilliant, unforgettable. I pulled over, chatted with a worker, and spun a story about being a homeowner with drainage issues. After some small talk and a discreet cash tip, he agreed to let me access the tank for testing purposes one evening, as long as I didn't touch the pump. That was all I needed. At home, I built a small adapter to connect my spigot to a second hose, which I ran underground behind bushes to the sewage tank. The setup was genius. The visible hose looked normal, but when turned on, it would unleash a surprise no one would forget. I tested it once with a sealed bucket. The smell alone could have knocked out a bear. I set the trap under cover of darkness, ensured the cameras were rolling, and left the bait the main hose where Linda always found it. The next morning, around 10:30, I heard the familiar hiss. I grabbed my phone and pulled up the camera feed. There she was, dragging the hose with the confidence of someone who'd never faced consequences. She hooked it to a fancy rotating sprinkler, set it in her lawn center, and turned the spigot. It started slow, a gurgle, a sputter. She tilted her head, confused. Then it hit. A jet of thick, dark, putrid liquid shot out, spraying her lawn, her patio, and her pristine white wicker furniture. The sprinkler spun, once, twice, 3 times, and Linda was screaming, loud enough to wake the dead. She ran to the spigot, slipping on the now swampy grass, as neighbors poked their heads out. One guy dropped his coffee. Someone started filming. Linda wrestled the hose like it was a venomous snake, ripping it from the sprinkler, but not before another spray soaked her shins. She was covered, coughing, screaming, and surrounded by witnesses. I watched it all on my screen, savoring every second. This wasn't just revenge, it was art. Later, Linda stormed over, still in ruined sandals, reeking of sludge, ranting about lawsuits and biohazards. I smiled and said, "You told me to do something about it." So I did. Her face cycled through red, green, and red again before she stomped off, vowing to call the HOA. That night, I uploaded the footage. Within hours, it broke the internet. Linda was now infamous, and not in a good way. The neighborhood buzzed with laughter. The video spread to Reddit, TikTok, even Facebook mom groups, with titles like, "When Karens Get What They Deserve." Someone edited in dramatic music and slow-motion zooms of Linda's reaction. Another neighbor, filming from their balcony, posted their own angle. Linda's reign was over. But she didn't go quietly. The next afternoon, an official-looking envelope appeared at my door. Inside, a letter in all caps accused me of sabotage, endangerment, and biological assault. Linda claimed her dog got sick, though my footage showed the animal nowhere near the spray. She demanded I pay for her lawn's cleanup, apologize, and attend an HOA conflict resolution session. I almost felt bad for her lawyer if she had won because no one would take this seriously. Still, the letter confirmed what I knew. Linda wasn't done. So, I planned phase 2, not another prank, something permanent. I added 2 more motion-sensing cameras and 1 hidden in a fake birdhouse above the hose. I revisited the construction site, thanked the workers with a pizza delivery, and kept my tank access open. At home, I upgraded the hose rig with a remote switch in my garage, controlling a valve splitter that toggled between clean water and sewage. It was seamless, hidden, and ready for round 2. Then, Linda vanished. For 2 days, her curtains stayed drawn, her car unmoved, her yard untouched. It was eerie, like the calm before a storm. On day 3, the storm hit. An HOA notice arrived. Not a warning, but a $600 fine for violating community health protocols and creating a hazardous environment. Linda had filed a complaint, backed by photos and 2 witnesses claiming I'd threatened a chemical attack. I called the HOA, demanded answers, and got passed around until someone admitted they'd review it at the next board meeting a month away. It was a setup. Linda knew the HOA's bureaucracy would protect her, but she underestimated me. I dug into public records, HOA bylaws, and county clerk files. In Section 4.2b, I found gold. Any homeowner trespassing to use another's utilities faced investigation, fines, and potential HOA privilege suspension. I had video proof, timestamps, and witnesses. I compiled a packet footage, bills, neighbor complaints, and mailed it to the HOA and several residents who'd clashed with Linda. I didn't start a war, I started a rebellion. Within days, neighbors rallied. Glenn, who'd been cited for a too colorful hammock, thanked me. Others shared their Linda stories. The street buzzed, passing around footage like trading cards. A leaked HOA meeting recording surfaced, capturing Linda's entitled rants about jealous neighbors. Paired with the sewage video, it was a perfect storm. Linda emerged 2 days later, sunglasses on, visibly shaken. She didn't yell or steal water, she just drove away, avoiding eye contact. Her house hit the market that week, and a young couple with a toddler moved in. They brought cookies, asked politely about their own hose hookup, and restored normalcy. But Linda's saga didn't end. A guy named Devin, from another HOA across town, emailed me. Linda was his new neighbor, already complaining about wind chimes and dragging a neighbor's hose to wash her car. I sent Devin my valve system plans, camera recommendations, and a Linda defense protocol. Days later, he replied, "This means war." His footage showed Linda sprayed with compost tea and expired fertilizer, slipping into her rose bushes as kids on scooters laughed. The clip, dubbed Linda's Revenge Part 2, went viral. I turned the chaos into something Eusephula blog about HOA drama and suburban pettiness. I posted anonymized stories, paired with my footage as a mini-series. It grew fast, with people sharing their own tales of neighborhood tyrants. I sold t-shirts with slogans like HOA before brothers and justice flows. But the real win wasn't the views or the fame. It was the afternoon I heard laughter from the new couple's yard, their toddlers squealing under their own sprinkler, using their own hose. No theft, no fines, just peace. I watered my tomato plant, the hose humming quietly, and for the first time in months, it felt like home.